Hey, what's up, gang? Welcome back to another edition of Wacky Ways of the World, Season 29, with your host, Phil Phi, the Science Dude. I hope you brought some friends along because this episode might get a little wild, and you're going to need all the help you can get as I take you deep into the world of forces and laws of motion, physics man style. Let's begin with one of the most fundamental forces in motion, friction. Now you may be asking yourself, just what is friction? Well, let's dive right in. Friction is a force created when two objects interact with each other and rub together. The deformations and microscopic bumps on the surface of each object create thermal energy and slow down the object in motion across the surface. This shooting pad creates friction with the puck and my stick as I sweep across it. Now, there are two types of friction. First is static friction, and second is kinetic friction. Static friction is a force required to send an object from rest into motion and overcome its resting friction. Here's an example. So the puck is at rest. If I move it and break its resting static friction, that's static friction. An example of kinetic friction would be the force required to keep an object in motion against friction. So if I have the puck here and I drag it across the surface, that's kinetic friction. Next, we will discuss inertia and Newton's first law of motion. Inertia refers to objects' tendencies to remain in their present state unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Newton's law states an object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest. On Earth, the effects of inertia on objects in motion are often downsized due to friction and air resistance, but in space, objects in motion will continue in motion for much longer periods of time. Newton's next law of motion, the second law, is perhaps the most critical of the three. It conveys the principle that an unbalanced force results in acceleration. Oh right, you want to know just what acceleration is? Well, it is the change in an object's velocity over time and results from unbalanced forces acting. Now back to Newton's second law. From this law, we get the equation force equals mass times acceleration. For example, if I dropped this object, the force it experienced would be equal to its acceleration, or the acceleration of gravity, which is 9.81 meters per second squared, times its mass. We can demonstrate inertia and Newton's second law with this, and also by taking a shot at our net here. The puck will stay at rest until I act upon it with an applied force, and it will stay airborne until the net applies a force to stop it. This is a perfect time to go right into Newton's third law and the concepts of mass, weight, action, and reaction. In order to begin, we need to define mass and weight. Mass is the amount of material in an object, which is measured in kilograms, the SI standard unit, and mass is independent of gravity. This SI system is critically important so that scientists around the world can communicate their findings with one another. Weight, on the other hand, is the force exerted by gravity on an object's mass and will change from planet to planet. Now we can get into the good stuff. Newton's third law, or the law of action and reaction, states that forces always come in pairs, an action and a reaction. Each force in an interaction is equal. The difference in motion arises from a difference in mass and acceleration. An example would be a bus and a bug. If they both hit each other, they would apply the same force. The bug simply has a higher acceleration but lower mass, and the bus has a lower acceleration but a higher mass, creating uneven motion. In the example of two colliding basketballs, we can see that each object is exerting a force. In this case, the masses and accelerations are almost equal, so the motion created for both objects is also almost equal. Finally, we'll discuss the concept of air resistance, and I'll show you a neat little tool that will allow you to diagram for yourself the forces you think are acting on an object. Due to the air in the Earth's atmosphere, objects experience drag and resistance while moving through the air. As I throw this sword and a ball through the air, they will experience resistance from the air as they leave my hand and travel up, and then they will also experience air resistance as they curve back down and fall toward the Earth. Again. Now, for the tool I know you've all been waiting for. You can definitely try this at home, kids, don't worry. What I want to show you is called a free body diagram. These little fellas are basically a handy way of showing the relative magnitude or strength and the direction of all forces acting on any given object that you like. Try it yourself with your physics teacher or a parent. Construct a free body diagram of the forces acting on you right now. What's that? Did you say the only force acting on you is hunger to watch more of my show? Well then, tune in next time for another episode of Wacky Ways of the World with your ever amazing host, Phil Fye, the Science Dude.